name is Karle Roberts, and I am the Family Engagement Coordinator here at Compass Charter Schools. I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to this recording. And, of course, a special thank you to our two talented guest presenters today. We have Whitney with us. She's one of our algebra and geometry teachers, and Jessica Wood, one of our science teachers. And they've both taken time out of their busy schedules to help with this presentation, so thank you. Today we are going to share with you, the learning coaches, some ideas and resources to help you help your scholars learn to love science and math. Before we begin our quick presentation, I want to take a second to remind you that at Compass Charter Schools we have 5 core values. Those are achievement, respect, teamwork, integrity, and communication. These serve as our guiding principles for our scholars, learning coaches, and staff. Each month this year, we've been recognizing one of our core values. We started with achievement and we've moved all the way through communication, as we know the importance of our core values and we want them to remain in the forefront of all of our minds. I'm so glad to have you joining us as we continue to dig deeper into the role of the learning coach and how you can help your scholars at home learn to love science and math. Ms. Wood will be covering science and some fun science resources for you to use at home, as well as some helpful links. And then Mrs. Whitney will be covering math with some helpful resource links. All of these links can be found on a resource page that is available for you to download in the description of this video on our YouTube channel. And now I will hand it off to Ms. Wood.
Just finished boiling my vinegar. Let me go grab it. Hi, my name is Mrs. Wood. I'm an 8th grade physical science teacher here at Compass. And today I want to talk to you about hands-on science and why it's so important for our children and the scholars here at CCS to investigate the natural world. So today we're going to do some basic kitchen science using baking soda, vinegar, a couple of glasses, and we always use our measuring devices as scientists. So some skills that we're going to work on today are variables, meaning what do we keep the same in our experiments and what do we change, how to make observations, and how to collect data. So before we get started, I do want to just share that it's really important for every child, even my 4-year-old and 6-year-old have a science notebook. And I usually get these at the 99-cent store. And my kiddos at home take their science notes on them. And you can even see my 4-year-old has to add princess stickers to hers. So no matter what age your child is at home, you can use guiding icons. So if you want your child to dictate a question to you because perhaps they're not writing yet, maybe draw a question mark, ask your child what questions they have and write them down. Maybe a light bulb for a hypothesis. And maybe if you're working with 8th graders and high schoolers, they can be typing these things out on the computer. So no matter what age we are, we can dive into science. So let's get started with some kitchen science. Okay, so most of us are familiar with the classic vinegar and baking soda experiment. We know that if we take our vinegar and mix baking soda, that we're going to get some bubbles and fizz. But let's talk about some science process skills that scholars can start even at age 3 or 4, and that's making changes to their variables and seeing how the reaction might be different. So we know we'll get bubbles, but what's one thing we can change? Well, here's an easy example. Just try changing the temperature. So if you look inside all of my cups, you'll see that I've measured out precisely the same amount of baking soda in each cup because we only change one variable at a time in science. And since I'm changing the temperature of my vinegars, everything else has to be the same. Don't feel like you need to grab measuring spoons. You can just use an everyday spoon as long as you're using the same amount. I'm also using the same amount of vinegar. But what you'll notice on my labels, which are really important in keeping track of our information, is that I'm changing the temperature. So my cold vinegar has been in the freezer for about half an hour. My warm vinegar, I safely microwaved as an adult. So we always want to help our kiddos when they're heating liquids safely. And I have 4 tablespoons of each liquid. So again, we want to keep everything the same. So I have 4 tablespoons of my cold vinegar, 4 tablespoons pre-measured, you can't see it on the video, of room temperature, and 4 tablespoons of warm. And I actually want to try to observe if the temperature changes the reaction. So we'll start with our normal reaction of room temperature. And wow, look at that. This is some messy kitchen science. So that's why I'm doing it over my sink. And now I'll try the cold. And we can already see a difference. Wow, this one took a lot longer to react and a lot longer to bubble over. Let's see what happens when I add some heat. Ooh! Okay, so what an easy way for scholars to learn that temperature can affect the rate of some chemical reactions. So we kept everything the same and all we changed was temperature. So then I might ask my kiddos, wow, look at that difference. What else can we change? Well, if you happen to be a vinegar collector like myself, I'm going to change the type of vinegar and keep everything else the same. And in science, it's really important that we wash our materials in between use so we don't have contamination, and keep everything clean. So you'll see here that I have apple cider vinegar, white vinegar, and rice vinegar. Now in this case, again, I used the same amount of baking soda, which means I want to use the same amount of vinegar and also the same temperature, because I only change one thing at a time in science. And the one thing I'm changing is the type of vinegar, so I want everything else the same. So I'll measure out the same amount, 4 tablespoons. And if you're asking, how do I know how much vinegar and baking soda to use? Well, here's the fun of science. It doesn't matter. As long as it's the same in every single cup. This was my rice vinegar, so I should probably put it over here. We also want to pay attention, right? Here's my apple cider vinegar. So again, in science, it doesn't really matter. Those are things that you learn and explore as you go. As long as you are using the same amount, the amount and precision does not matter. We just want to make sure we're keeping everything the same. And our last is our white vinegar. So I'm kind of interested to know, does the type of vinegar change the reaction? So let's see. And when we're doing this at home, it might be fun to videotape it with your cell phone and do it one at a time so you can really closely compare the results. So I'm going to try to go fast so we can see them side by side. Wow, look at that white vinegar compared to that apple cider and our rice vinegar. Wow. So it looks to me like this apple cider vinegar is kind of a dud for the reaction, and I wonder why that is. So now at home, I challenge you to think with some basic ingredients, just like vinegar and baking soda, how many different experiments can you create? Can you change the amount of baking soda and leave everything else the same? Change temperature, change products, it's all up to you. So have fun with some messy kitchen science. All right, don't forget our most important science tool, paper towels. I'm over here cleaning up my counter as you see. So one great resource if you're thinking, gosh, how can I think of these different experiments? Well, you've been provided with some links over here that are just fun, easy kitchen experiments. Don't feel like you have to spend money to do science. These plastic cups came from the 99-cent store. I've washed them and reused them for 3 years. So what can you do with things around your house? Dig into these websites and see. And one thing I would challenge you to do is most websites do one experiment, like the baking soda and vinegar reaction, but they don't change anything. So what a great conversation with your kiddos. Do the experiment and think, what can we change to see how that change affects the reaction? And that sets them up for middle school and high school. So I hope you guys dig into some science.
Hi, I am Mrs. Whitney, and I teach algebra and geometry in the high school. And we have collected a bunch of websites for you so that you want to kind of take a break from your schooling or whatnot. You could go out and find other websites that are really fun. So we have a list here, and you have access to that list, so you can click on those links and play around. I'm going to give you a little bit of description of each one, okay? So Starfall is a website. It's been around for a while and offers free interactive lessons for younger scholars. They do primarily have language arts lessons, but there are some math. If you opt to buy a subscription, then there are more lessons available. I believe there's like 3 without the subscription. So you definitely want to get a subscription if you're interested in that one. Khan Academy, a really popular website used by many. It offers practice exercises, instructional videos, and a personalized learning dashboard that empower learners to study at their own pace in and outside of the classroom. They tackle math, science, computer programming, history, art history, economics, and more. Their math missions guide learners from kindergarten to calculus, so a wide range there, using state-of-the-art adaptive technology that identifies strengths and learning gaps. Our next website is themultiplication.com. Multiplication.com provides a mix of free and paid materials to teach kids about math. Included in the free resources are a fact navigator that helps students learn their multiplication tables, quizzes, and a large number of games. Next, we have the PBS Learning Media. Here's a brand you all know and trust. PBS has been providing quality learning materials for decades. They now have a number of videos and other interactive resources available on their website that look at math in different contexts, like Math Magic and Money Math. The site lists the grade level for which each resource is appropriate. You do have to create an account to access them if you don't already have one, but it's free and fairly quick. And I just want to add, one of my favorite parts are the videos that show different careers using math. That's my favorite, because I always get scholars asking me, when am I ever going to see this? So that's a great resource. Another website we have for you is Johnny's Math Page. It collects a number of interactive math activities into a few of the main categories students encounter in school. While the website looks a little more outdated than the others on the list, the categories are illustrated with animated animal GIFs that kids are likely to get a kick out of. And I had fun playing games on that one, so I'll admit to that. We also have, where am I? Sorry. We have the other one, the We Are Teachers. Sorry. That's a site that has a lot of games. Rather than being so much of its own, it brings many math games available elsewhere on the web into one place. We all love that, right? Instead of having to search all over the place. The result is a pretty wide variety of ways for students to interact with different mathematical concepts online. And then we have the Math Dude podcast. For the audio learners, I know that's one of my favorite ways to learn. It covers a range of mathematical topics and lessons in a way that keeps listeners entertained. The reviews in the iTunes store make it clear that the podcast is already in use by many educators in their courses and that it's popular with the non-mathematically inclined along with the math whizzes. So no joke, right, if teachers are using it. And then lastly on our list, which reminds me, the list can go on and on and on and on, but I didn't want to take your time all day. Our last on the list is Brain Pop, and it's engaging learning games, animated movies, and activities designed with relevance, depth, and humor to encourage kids on their unique learning paths. And it also includes the Brain Pop Junior K-3 and the Brain Pop ELL. So that is my small list, because when you really go out in the World Wide Web, the list can really be huge. I hope you have fun playing with math.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Whitney and Mrs. Wood. So here we have some ideas for you, the learning coach, to think about. What are some ideas that you've learned about today that you would like to implement with your scholar at home? Also, is there anything that you happen to be struggling with when it comes to helping your scholar in whether it be science or math? What kind of things do you feel successful in? And of course, are there any resources that we shared that you have used in the past? Do you have any recommendations that you'd like to share with your fellow learning coaches and or our staff? So what about anything that we possibly didn't share? Let us know any tips and tricks that you have, and we'll share them with your learning coach peers. You can post them here to the comments of this video, or you can send them over to info@compasscharters.org. Also, if you have any questions about this presentation, or if you have an idea of a topic that you would like to see presented in one of our future Coaches Corners, please give me a call at 805-807-8215, or you can email me at kroberts@compasscharters.org, as I would love to help you. And thank you so much again for taking the time today to watch this recording. Be sure to look over our other topics that we have in our YouTube channel, because there are so many other resources available, and we're uploading more each week. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.